Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am Dr. Mohibullah Wazir. Now, this is the second lecture of blood supply of brain, and today we discuss the blood supply of the cerebrum. Okay, this is the cerebrum, which consists of two hemispheres, right and left, and having different lobes. I hope you know it. Frontal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe, superior lateral surface, and then this is inferior surface, while this is the medial surface. We have two medial surface faces, one another. Okay, now the cerebrum is being supplied by three big arteries: middle cerebral artery, and then anterior cerebral artery, and then posterior cerebral artery, and then the anterior choroidal arteries. Alright, the middle and anterior cerebral arteries that I told you that make the anterior circulation, these are the branches of the internal carotid, while the posterior cerebral artery that make the posterior circulation, this part, this is being the branch of the posterior cerebral artery. Then I told you that these branches, middle cerebral or posterior cerebral and anterior cerebral, at the surface of the brain, they anastomose with one another at the arteriolar level. But the deeper arteries or end arteries, they anastomose only at the capillary level. Okay, now the middle cerebral artery, look, the middle cerebral artery, you please be near to this diagram. This is the superior lateral surface, and you look, this is the lateral sulcus. What happens, look, over here, you just note, this is the internal carotid artery. From this, one branch comes over here on this side, and over here it enters into the stem of the lateral sulcus. This middle cerebral artery, which originates from the internal carotid artery and then comes over here to the lateral sulcus, this is bigger in caliber and more indirect with continuation of internal carotid artery. Because of this reason, it is more prone to the embolism. Embolus usually goes in this artery, and then this middle cerebral artery comes over here and gives branches, and it supplies, look, this is the bullet cortex, this one, which is the insula. It supplies the insula and the overlying opercula. It is supplied by branches of the middle cerebral artery. And then the middle cerebral artery gives branches to the superior lateral surface of the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and to the superior lateral surface of the temporal lobe. But note the point that its territory extends on the frontal and parietal lobe and temporal lobe over here up to the parieto occipital sulcus. Beyond that, that is the territory of the posterior cerebral artery, number one. And number two, one gyrus along the superior border and one gyrus along the inferior border, that is superior frontal gyrus and inferior temporal gyrus. They do not receive the supply from this middle cerebral artery, but by overlapping from other arteries. So this gyrus and this gyrus do not receive supply from the middle cerebral artery. And while this and insula and opercula, it is being supplied by this middle cerebral artery. And in the territory of the middle cerebral artery is being included the sensoromotor cortex of the opposite half of the body, except the leg area and the foot area and perineum area, which is lying over here and which is being supplied by the overlapping from this anterior cerebral artery by coming over here. This area, this cortex, which is being connected to the opposite foot, leg and perineum. This is not being included in the territory of the middle cerebral artery. And the middle cerebral artery, the territory contains the cerebromotor cortex of the opposite side, except that, and also it includes the auditory and speech area. If this artery is being blocked, these functions of the body would be affected. Then the anterior cerebral artery, you look over here. Look, this artery, again, which is a branch of the internal carotid artery, it comes over here and curves around the corpus callosum, you can see, and which is supplies the whole of the medial surface and as well as the inferior surface of, the inferior surface of the orbital frontal lobe, this surface, and then this whole surface above the corpus callosum till the occipito-parietal sulcus, and you can see the branches overlap onto the superior surface and superior surface, and this first superior gyrus on the superior surface is also being supplied by the overlapping branches of anterior cerebral artery. And this anterior cerebral, in this way, the anterior cerebral artery, it supplies this whole of the medial surface and also the sensoromotor cortex at the uppermost gyrus on the superior lateral surface, including the opposite of the body, the leg, the perineum and the foot, and also the maturation and defecation reflex. At this point, note one point, that the internal carotid artery, it supplies the sensoromotor cortex of the opposite side, and it also gives the ophthalmic branch to supply the retina. That's why if this anterior cerebral artery is being this way, the internal carotid artery gives only tritium artery. That's why if the internal carotid artery is being blocked or damaged due to any reason, the blood supply to the retina and to the sensoromotor cortex will be affected, leading to the blindness with contralateral hemiplegia. That's the opposite side will be paralyzed, and there will be vision loss of the eye, because both these are being supplied by branches of internal carotid artery through its middle and anterior cerebral artery. Okay, and then look at the posterior cerebral artery. Look, this you can see. Look, this is the posterior cerebral artery. This posterior cerebral artery is the branch from the basilar artery and comes over here to supply the inferior surface of the occipital lobe, and then it supplies, you can see, both the medial and lateral surface of the occipital lobe, and then it also supplies the inferior temporal gyrus. The inferior surface of the occipital lobe, the medial and lateral surface of the occipital lobe, and also supplies the inferior temporal gyrus. And its territory is being included, especially the area 17 or visual area. But sometimes the macular area of the visual area may be supplied by encroaching branches of the middle cerebral artery. So if that is the condition, then if the anterior cerebral artery is being blocked, then the macular area and macular vision will be saved. Otherwise, if it is wholly supplied by anterior cerebral artery, then with the blockage of anterior cerebral artery, the patient would be having blindness, which is called as cortical blindness. That is, the eye is alright, okay, but the blindness is because of the damage of the visual center or area 17 of the occipital lobe because of the loss of blood supply from the anterior cerebral artery. Then the deeper lying nuclei, which we call it as subcortical areas as well, the gray matter which is lying deep, for example the basal nucleus, the thalamus and etc. These are being supplied by perforating arteries from all the three arteries. Now over here from the middle cerebral artery, branches passes through the brain tissue, which we call it as anterior perforated arteries. These anterior perforating arteries enter into the brain substance, and they are also being called as striate arteries, thalamostriate arteries, or lenticulostriate arteries, the same name. These arteries enter into the brain tissue through the perforated substance and supplies the basal ganglion, the internal capsule, and the thalamus. While branches to the posterior perforated substance from the posterior cerebral artery passes over here, and it also passes from the posterior cerebral artery to deep and supplies the basal ganglion, the thalamus, and internal capsule. While the anterior choroidal artery, which is the branches of internal carotid artery, they passes to the choroidal plexus of the third ventricle, and it also supplies the optic tract, etc. Okay, this is, I think, all about the blood supply of the cerebrum in short. Thank you very much.